Our guest this week is a controversial author who isn't afraid to address the elephant in the room, so to speak. Taleeb Starkes is his name, and his book, The Uncivil War, Blacks versus Niggers, is a bestseller, and his attempt to explain with brutal honesty the problems rooted in so-called black culture, as well as his definitive separation of social status between black people and niggers. It's important to point out that Taleeb is a black man. How you doing, Taleeb?
I'm great, guys. Thanks for having me.
Well, thanks a lot for being here. Before we get started, I just want to point out to our audience that while the title of the book may be a convenient excuse for white people to throw the word nigger around in conversation, I think it's far more prudent to continue doing it in the safety of your car with the windows rolled up and the doors locked. Some black men won't care to discuss the intricacies of the recent book you read, and will still knock your teeth out.
Yeah, sure.
I'm sure you probably have seen a lot of that, just the convenience of a white guy being able to throw that word around.
Well, yeah, I've seen that, but with the book, I actually find that white people are afraid to use the word. Even when I'm on shows, they introduce the book as The Uncivil War, Blacks versus the N-word, Which
means the same thing.
It's sort of, but I never wanted it to be blacks versus the N-word, as if blacks are versing the N-word. No, it's it's the people who personify the N-word, which are niggers. And when I titled the book, I could have taken the safe route and the politically correct route and used N-word, but I didn't want any confusion, as to who I was speaking to and what the book was about. So and
separation.
Definitely. And black people are surprised to find out when I say this that white people won't say the word. They just, like I'm speaking to you guys and I'm saying, great, you're actually saying it. That helps. Conversation.
I'm not gonna lie. It's still a bit awkward.
Sure, because how often will you be on the phone with the black guy, saying, because the niggers are really messing it up for black people, man. You gotta do something.
No, never. Like I said, it's in the car with the windows rolled up, and that's it, right?
But and I talk about also in the book how it's just so asinine how we hold this word as if we have a trademark on it, and even whites are the biggest consumers of hip hop. And with hip hop, the word nigger, ERA, whatever, it's prevalent. So to see a white person, in the car blasting some hip hop, and then the song has the word nigger, and I mean, what are they supposed to do? Just be quiet on that part? I mean, it's
well, they can sing along, but they have to be quiet during that part.
Yeah, on that part, you just hush, and then you get back into it's asinine. I remember
It is very childish, isn't it?
It is. I mean, come on, let's be grown-ups about it. It is. But
the funny thing is that all white hip hop guys do whatever they can to try and slip it in, and and get away with it, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I work with juveniles, and sometimes I come across the white kid that grew up around blacks, and even then. It's kind of, if he says nigger, it's kind of like, wait, what did you just say? But amongst his friends, closest friends, well, he can get away with it. But even with his mannerisms and all that quote unquote black mannerisms, if he's in the wrong place and says it, not even the wrong place, but just around a bunch of black people, and says it, and he may use it in the same context that black people use it with, just as a pronoun. He would get scrutinized, and some trouble may be brewing. And again, it's just, I think we patent, as black people, we're putting patents on the wrong things. Instead of patenting that word, I think we need to focus on patenting ideas and STEM projects and something productive as opposed to that word.
Yeah, I'm sure a lot of people would agree with you. Unfortunately, not many of them in the communities you speak of. I read the book. It was very good, provocative, insightful, very entertaining. And it was really easy to read. It was like as if the reader's having a conversation with you. I'm just curious, what provoked you to come out and write the book?
Well, it's so many.
Was there any one incident?
No. Actually, it was a culmination of incident. And first, my brother and I, we produced a documentary called Mothers in No Tomorrow, which highlighted the impact of urban terrorism in the community. And we followed mothers around, black mothers who lost their children through urban terrorism, as I call it. So once I saw that the media pretty much relegated these mothers to 30-second sound bites when talking about the kids losing their kids, because it happens so much. I mean, you have a population in America that's 13%. We're black to 13% of the populace, but annually are responsible for more than half of the homicides in the entire country. So to hear a black mother say, "Oh, my son, he died, he was shot, by Ray or whomever," it's like you've heard the story so many times. So
yeah, it's kind of minimized.
Yeah, so we become desensitized to it. But to me, I've never become desensitized because we're losing kids, we're losing babies because of these guys can't shoot straight, and then they end up hitting everything except the target that they were aiming for. So I was just basically, this book was just my bottled frustration that erupted. And once I started writing, here I am.
And I guess being lumped into that crowd at times, if somebody's walking down the street, you hear the same old analogy. If somebody's walking down the street and they see a black guy, they're automatically associated with the thug culture in the area. It depends where you are. You don't want to be that. You're coming out and saying, like, that's not all of us.
But you know what? I don't blame others for feeling that way. Growing up, blacks are always taught, for the most part, to blame others. Like the victimization, it runs deep, is rooted in our community. So the people locking the doors, I know as an adult, and especially writing this book and through research and statistics, and that's warranted. You just know that, again, 13% of the populace is responsible for 50% of the homicides, and even higher percentage of violent crime. You would be an idiot not to look out for yourself when you see a black guy, especially a black guy in a hoodie. It is what it is, without the political correctness.
How dare you reference statistics?
Yeah, right. And then these statistics, depending on who the statistics come from, the statistics are even racist now. So, with this book, as a black guy writing this, they're not able to label me as they would if they come from a white guy. The worst that they could call me is a sellout or something like that. But like I say, my wife will call me worse names when I don't put down the toilet seat after using it. So I'm good.
Well, let's talk about from your end extreme reactions to the book. Let's say from black readers, on either side of it.
Oh, okay. Well, again,
I Googled you. The second Google result to come up with your name today was Uncle Tom.
And you know what? and I find that hilarious because most people who say that have never read Uncle Tom's Cabin, because had they read it, then they would see that being called an Uncle Tom isn't an insult. Uncle Tom actually died to protect some slaves.
Jesus.
You can go to Wikipedia. If you don't want to read the book, just go to, I always tell people, just go to Wikipedia and just take a shortcut. Because you're using, if you're going to call me a name, make something that sticks. Not, these are,
no, but you know what Uncle Tom is associated with, right?
Yeah, I know I know the context of it. But, it's a double-edged sword, man. I think of the victims. for instance, about a week ago, 5-year-old girl was sitting on her grandfather's lap. She was killed. She was hit by a bullet when the house was shot up. And I think of stories like that. Her name is Layla Peterson, 5 years old, sitting on her grandfather's lap. House shot up. She dies. And so the name calling and I don't like the book, and why are you calling black people niggers? And the white man looks at all blacks as niggers, and all of that. It washes off me, because I think of these innocent souls whose lives were taken by people who do nothing but take from the community. So I'm fighting a bigger fight than these people who are name calling. They're not even in my rear view. I don't even see them actually. So, but to Google, no, what are you saying?
So, I was just saying, I guess all that criticism has probably come second to you, right?
No, it is, absolutely, man. I'm on a bigger mission, you know. And like I said, with these babies dying, that touches my soul. I mean, time to me, time is our only true commodity. And I mean, you know, as a man, if you don't spend time with your girlfriend, you know that you're in trouble. Your employer pays you for your time. You know, prison takes your time from you. Like, time is very important. It's all that we really own. And when these 10-year-olds, you know, 5-year-olds, killed because of, you know, these creatures, you know, I feel as though someone has to speak for these victims. And this pattern exists. The pattern.
Sorry, go ahead.
I'm saying this pattern exists wherever there's a large black population. We just don't take control of the subculture that exists within. We haven't put our foot on it. And actually what we do is we enable it, you know, under the guise of our kinfolk is our skinfolk is our kinfolk. And I think we need to get away from that.
So what's your opinion then on like the leftist theory that what's happening in poor black neighborhoods is you know, finally orchestrated, in fact, with the the poverty and the crowded housing units.
You talk about like the introduction of crack in the 80s.
Well, just that you know, there's a lot of like I said, like leftists, I guess, that say these things are a result of the way the neighborhoods are set up. You know, that's intentional, that they're designed to have black men killing each other.
Yeah. Again, that's all of the victimization gospel. That's prevalent in the black community. It's not your fault. You know, it's gun violence. They call it gun violence, which I think is asinine. Just as asinine as calling it bullet violence. I mean, what it is violence. These are people who are being violent. You know, let's call it what it is. But again, in this country, the left are enabling this behavior because it provides a consistent voter block, first and foremost. And secondly, there's a lot of white guilt involved. So, you know.
God, is there ever.
The white guilt runs deep. So, you know, you sprinkle sprinkle these programs and other giveaways to the black community, and basically you're keeping them where they are. Because most of I'm going to say the white liberals, they don't live where I live, you know, they don't, but they will get on TV and talk as if we're all one community. They don't. And let me just say for the record, I live in a mixed neighborhood, and it's not racially mixed, it's culturally mixed. I mean, there are blacks here, there are niggers here, and there are blacks with nigger tendencies. There are no
what you allude to in the book.
Yeah. There's a segment that I call blacks with nigger tendencies, but there are no white liberals here. But
I was just going to move on to something here.
Sure.
Ebonics, as embraced as a cultural language, you know, you mentioned in your book how it limits the very employment opportunities that niggers complain there's an inequality about. So, you know, in so many words, I'm obviously paraphrasing, but no Fortune 500 company is going to want to hire somebody who speaks like Lil Wayne.
Yeah, right. Absolutely. No Fortune 5 company is going to, Fortune 5 million company will, and rightfully so. And even, you know what, and you and I talked earlier, but when I visited Montreal and I went to the McDonald's, and I ordered something, chicken nuggets, something like, and I was surprised that the black guy at the counter, he took my order in English, but he related to the staff in French. And it, blew me away. I'm like, here's a guy, he's working at McDonald's and he speaks 2 languages. Now back home, the black guy at the McDonald's at the register, he speaks 2 languages as well, but it's Ebonics and I guess English, if you can decipher the English. But Ebonics is probably the first language. English, he has to be taught English. And it's just amazing. I said, wow, this is a unique experience to see the difference between the black guy in Montreal and the black guy in North Philadelphia at McDonald's. It was surreal. But again, if I always tell people, if I could have written a book in Ebonics, maybe the subculture that I'm talking about, maybe they'll read it. But as the book stands now, as it reads now, there's no way they would give a damn about this book. Or,
that's part of the problem. The group you wrote the book about will likely never read it, unfortunately.
No, not at all. Unless I could make it into a movie and they could bootleg copies of it. That's about it. But, no, they'll never read. Reading is just, I say reading is an anti-nigger activity, so that it is what it is. Maybe I could make it 160 characters and they'll read it then, on Instagram. But that's it.
So it seems to me that I could be wrong, but in my opinion, I would say that, a lot of the cultural issues that do arise, in these communities, a portion of that can be attributed to embracing the wrong idols. I would say rap probably perpetuates that. You have actual black idols that people should look up to. Everybody should look up to. Frederick Douglass, Mary Angelou, never mind Neil deGrasse Tyson, his stupid planets. George Washington Carver, he invented peanut butter, which I'm sure some white devil somewhere will say that's just a ruse to get back at all the kids that are allergic to peanuts nowadays. But these are real people that should be looked up to, and I'm sure Lil Wayne and all these other people can't hold a candle to them.
Yeah, man, you're 100% correct. I mean, you gotta. Here's what happens in the black community. We adore the professional black person, but we disregard the black professional, if you understand what I'm saying. A black professional like a Dr. Ben Carson is not a household name because he's not a professional black person like Al Sharpton. Al Sharpton's profession is being black. And so with that, Al Sharpton is a household name in the black community. And that shows that's an indictment to where we are as a people. When you look at the lower tier as opposed to the higher tier of blacks, and we're going to be stuck in neutral as long as that exists. We're going to be stuck in neutral. And hip hop,
it's unfortunate.
It is, and that's why I say in the book as well that listen, it's about time we cut and run. I look at myself as Noah, who had built the ark. And I'm saying this book is a call to action for those who heed the call. It's not for everybody. We have to draw a line in the sand and say, you're either with us or you're with them. Or as George Bush said, you're either with us or you're with the terrorists. So this comes. It's just
you know what? It's sort of the same thing.
Yeah.
I mean, these people are domestic terrorists, are they not?
Absolutely. And I don't apologize for calling them that. Actually, I mean, God, I mean, I don't apologize. I catch hell, from other black notable people. I have a lot of people that follow me and watch what I'm doing, and some people even support me privately, but they can't support publicly because I'm kind of a lightning rod, and no one really wants to be guilty by association because I'm just like, I'm doing the dirty work, and I'm not a politician, so I don't have to cater to certain groups and not say certain things. I'm not running for office. This is what, like I said, I'm a victim's advocate. And when you look into, even on my Twitter, where I always post pictures of like the victims, and you look into these in their eyes, you understand these people were never, they were taken. For instance, in Kansas City, in the span of 2 weeks, 2 children killed by urban terrorism. And one of the girls, she was buying bubble gum at the store. Drive by. She died. She's 6 years old, buying bubble gum, killed in Kansas City, Missouri. Now, had that driver been white, or had she been buying Skittles and iced tea, then it would have been a march for her. But since she was buying bubble gum and the shooters weren't white, and there was no agenda that could have been pushed from this, she remains, anonymous. Just another kid that's collateral damage. And that, like I said, that drives me. That's what keeps me going. I'm speaking for these kids. I don't give a damn who's with me or against me, but this mission is go forward.
You definitely broke down a wall, I'd say. I'd never heard somebody so outspoken about it that wasn't politically driven. Of course, you can find similar writings by white people, but they seem to be politically driven in some fashion, usually. And as well, there's a stigma attached to it if you read the same thing coming from a white guy, and then you can't help but think that even as a white guy reading it. But coming from a black guy, it does hold its own weight. And the fact that you have the balls to come out and say that, let's be honest, a lot of people are thinking and are just afraid to say, and that's what it is. So you did come out and you did take the first round of shots for what a lot of people are thinking, and that in itself is commendable.
Yeah, thank you. But there's a lot of work to do, and I'm not alone. I get a lot of support from on Twitter, from the social networks. Also, I get a lot of hate, but it's amazing to me that people can actually protect urban terrorists. The people, I'll call them, in the book, I'll call them niggerphiliacs, because they essentially are wolves protecting sheep. And that's what they are. How could you protect these people who are doing nothing? Destruction is their identity. And how can you
become institutionalized? I mean, they're fed the same thing for so long, and to finally hear somebody come out and speak against it, you have to expect that people are going to lash out at you. I mean, it's uncommon to hear, and even though it may be what I would say a light majority of people are thinking, you're going to have your haters, and I think that's part of the stigma that you have to deal with.
Yeah, and and I understand that's part of the game, having haters. I mean, listen, I understand if you're friends with everybody, that ultimately means you're friends with nobody. So what they do, the haters, the niggerphiliacs, what they do is they validate, and they make me make sure my sword is sharp on both ends. And although this book, calls them out for endorsing this criminal element in the black community, I make sure that I save some of the sword for others too, who may come that I'm not prepared for. I've I'm finding that the black press, I call out the black press a lot, but they want to talk. They want to talk, but they want me to talk with the muzzle. So again, it's
I can imagine.
Yeah, it's talking on their terms, and I'd rather not talk if we can't talk with level if it's not going to be a dialogue. I mentioned in the book how Eric Holder called America a nation of cowards for not talking openly about race. But my retort is that blacks don't want to talk about race. We don't, unless we're the only ones talking. What'd you say?
Yeah, you can't have an open discussion about something like that.
No, you can't.
I had a question for you. It's a bit off kilter. Just curious if you could answer it. What in your mind would be the closest equivalent to a nigger in the white community?
Well, that's interesting because
I know you want to say pedophile because that's what we're known for.
No, not at all. No. I'm gonna try this. I'm going to try to keep it as closely aligned to the book as possible. I used to once upon a time I thought a nigger was equivalent to a redneck in America. The rednecks were the lowest of white people. They were the exiles. They were the those who we shouldn't emulate. If you're white, you're like, you don't want to be like a redneck. They're backwards. They're this, they're that.
Yeah.
And I thought that about niggers, and I actually had a book signing at a place called Redneck Country Club, and I've actually met self-proclaimed redneck, and I said, and then you go to my Twitter, you can see pictures with me with the T-shirt from the event, and with a black guy at the Redneck Country Club. But you know what? I realized that I don't have any beef with the rednecks. Rednecks have never done anything to me. It's the damn blacknecks that I have beef with, who I wrote the book about, the blacknecks. But I would say niggers are equivalent to white trash. But let me be clear. In the Appalachian region of the United States, poverty it's everywhere. It's omnipresent. And they suffer from the same conditions as the blacks in the inner cities, far as poverty, similar poverty rates. But, and I know, and I make sure,
sorry, go on.
In the book, I was saying in the book, I make sure I parallel that in West Virginia, for instance, one of the poorest states in the country, and with all kind of pathologies that the whites there could use as excuses for failure, but still the white on white violence it doesn't even compare to the black on black violence in the inner cities. So I say that to say poor whites aren't committing the crime that poor blacks are committing, which goes to show that being poor is no excuse for poor behavior. And so to answer your question, the closest thing to niggers are white trash. But, nigger, as I use in the book, is also an acronym for Negro individuals generating grief everywhere routinely.
Yeah, that works.
And that's, that's also the catalyst for me using the word nigger because of the acronym that it encompasses.
Yeah, I guess if you throw an acronym to it, maybe deflects a little bit of the heat, right?
It gives a spin to it, right? You're like, I'm not saying nigger, I'm saying Negro individuals generating grief everywhere routinely.
I'm just trying to do it quickly. I can't spell everything out. Right on, Taleeb. Listen, I want to thank you a lot for coming by. It's been an insightful interview, as I knew it would be. I just want to remind everybody out there that his book, The Uncivil War of Blacks versus Niggers, is available on Amazon. It's a bestseller. I read it. It's fucking awesome. And I think it's an important read for everybody, black or white, regardless of what social standing you come from. It's a very, very good book. So thanks again for being here, Taleeb.
Okay, brothers. Anytime. Thanks.